Hello, my name is Henry. I don't come from a rich country, and I don't come from a rich family. When I was 18, I didn't even know how to introduce myself in English. People used to laugh when I tried to speak. My friends, my relatives, everyone. My accent was broken. My sentences were wrong. I didn't even know what to say in interviews. But inside me, there was something I didn't fully understand back then, a quiet fire whispering, "You are meant for more." This is the story of how a completely ordinary boy from a small forgotten town, with zero confidence and no English skills, became a millionaire just by learning one skill: how to express himself in English with power. This is not a fake story. There's no overnight success, no rich uncle, no viral moment, just one small broken boy, one tiny room, and one big dream. If I could speak like others, maybe I could live like them. I want to tell my story not to show off, but to show what's possible even when everything is against you. If you feel lost, ignored, or invisible because your English is broken, then I'm speaking directly to you. This story isn't about English. It's about survival. It's about freedom. It's about how I went from being silent in fear to speaking on global stages, building businesses, earning in dollars, and creating a life that once seemed impossible. I promise, if you stay with me until the end, you won't just learn about me, you'll see yourself. You'll learn how to grow step by step, without shortcuts, and you will feel hope again. I was born in a small noisy city in the south of the Philippines. Our home was made of wood and tin. When it rained, we had to move our things to keep them from getting wet. My father was a jeepney driver, and my mother sold fruits in the market. We didn't speak English at home. We didn't even have a television. I was the quiet boy in class. Not because I was shy, but because I didn't understand anything the teacher said in English. I failed English in grade 4, and again in grade 7. I remember one day being asked to read a sentence in front of the class. I stood up, looked at the page, and froze. My hands shook. I couldn't even pronounce Wednesday. The class laughed. The teacher gave me a weak smile and moved on. But something inside me died that day. After that, I avoided eye contact, never raised my hand, and I hated English. I hated myself. Things got worse. At 16, I tried to apply for a summer job at a tourist cafe. The owner said, "You're smart, but your English is bad. Tourists won't understand you." He rejected me politely, but it crushed me. That night, I sat on our rooftop, looked at the stars, and asked myself, is this it? Will I always be poor just because I can't speak English? That night, it hit me. It wasn't about English, it was about freedom. If I could learn this language, I could break out of this life. I could go beyond this town. I could understand the world. I could speak. I could earn. I could lead. That night changed everything. But it was just the start. The first step was a broken dictionary I borrowed from my cousin. It was missing pages. I would sit in silence for hours, reading random words and writing them down. Opportunity, success, confidence. I didn't even know what these words truly meant, but I wanted to. I wrote fake conversations in a notebook and practiced alone. I would stand in front of a mirror and say, "Hi, my name is Henry. How are you? I'm learning English." Even those 3 sentences took me a full week to say without stuttering. I started listening to English songs, not for fun, but to catch words. I paused, rewound, wrote lyrics, and translated them. I remember one line from a song that changed my mindset: "There's nothing you can't do if you believe in yourself." I believed in those words more than I believed in myself. But nobody noticed. People thought I was wasting time. My cousin laughed and said, "You think you'll get rich speaking English? Look at us. Even graduates are jobless." He was right, but I kept going anyway. Deep inside, I felt something shifting. One day, I met someone online, a traveler from the UK visiting Manila. I replied to his post in broken English. He corrected me, kindly. That was my first conversation with a foreigner. I was nervous, sweating like crazy. Did I make mistakes? 100. But I realized something. They didn't care about mistakes. They cared about communication. They respected the effort. That's when I knew English isn't about perfection. It's about connection. That conversation gave me fire. I started messaging strangers online just to practice. Some ignored me. Some helped. One even offered me a free online course in spoken English. I studied it like my life depended on it, because it did. Just when I thought I was improving, life hit me hard. My father had a stroke. I had to quit studying and work full-time in a hardware store. Just like that, my dreams of learning English and becoming more faded again. I worked from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., lifting boxes, taking inventory, cleaning toilets, all in silence, all in Tagalog, all in frustration. Then one day, something happened. A tourist came in, looking for a specific tool. No one in the store could help. But I understood what he said because I had heard the word before in a song, screwdriver. I helped him in English. He smiled, surprised, and said, "Your English is good." I almost cried. In that small moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: hope. My life didn't magically change that day. No doors flew open. No opportunities came running. But something inside me shifted permanently. I went home that evening, my shirt wet with sweat, my back hurting, but my heart burning. I whispered to myself, "Henry, that was your first proof. You're not crazy. You're not dreaming too big. You can do this." Even though I had a full-time job, no internet at home, no smartphone, and barely enough energy to stay awake after work, I made a decision. I would build my English 10 minutes at a time, every day, no matter what. Nights were too tiring for studying, so I began waking up at 4 a.m. while the world was silent. Everyone thought I was crazy. Imagine this: it's dark, everyone is sleeping, there's no air conditioning, just a small fan. I'm sitting on a plastic chair with a broken notebook and a second-hand grammar book from a flea market. Mosquitoes buzz around me. I light a candle when the electricity is out. Page by page, word by word, I study alone. Some mornings, I didn't understand anything. I felt like I was wasting my time, like this dream was too big for someone like me. But I kept showing up because I knew every sentence I learned was one brick in the foundation of my future. There was a time I almost gave up. 3 months into the 4 a.m. routine, one night I came home to find my mother crying. We didn't have enough money for my father's medicines. I was furious. At life, at God, at everything. I went to my room, slammed the door, screamed, "What's the point of all this? I'm learning English, but nothing is changing. I'm still poor. Still stuck. Still useless." I punched the wall, collapsed to the floor, and cried. But the next morning, I opened my notebook. The page I had written the day before had one sentence: "Don't stop now. You're already in pain. Use it." That one line saved me. I didn't stop. One day, I saw a flyer at a grocery store, 15 pesos per hour, internet cafe. I had never used a computer before, but I went. I sat in front of the glowing screen and Googled how to speak English fluently. That was the moment my world exploded. Videos, forums, quizzes, free lessons. It was like discovering a universe I had never seen before. I began visiting the cafe every weekend, sometimes for just 1 hour, sometimes 2. I created an email, joined English learning Facebook groups, watched videos on pronunciation, and practiced. I spent 3 days just learning how to say comfortable because I used to say comfortable. I copied accents, wrote fake emails, watched TED Talks with subtitles, pausing every sentence. People laughed, even my coworkers. They said, "Why are you learning this? You're not going anywhere." But I knew I was not lost. I just hadn't left yet. One day, a woman from New Zealand posted in a group, "I want to help learners speak English. Send me a voice note introducing yourself." I stared at that message for an hour. My hand shook as I recorded, "Hi, I am Henry. I am from the Philippines. I want to speak good English." I sent it and waited. She replied, "You're doing great, Henry. You just need practice. I'll help." That was the first time a native speaker encouraged me. That moment felt like winning the lottery. We started exchanging voice messages. She corrected my pronunciation, gave me tips, and even sent free materials. She became my first English mentor, and we never even met in real life. One day, while searching English practice forums, I saw a post. Need someone to transcribe short English videos. $3 per video. I didn't know what transcribe meant, so I looked it up. Listen and write down what is said in English. I applied using Google Translate to write the message properly. They replied, "Send us a sample." I borrowed a headset, went to the internet cafe, and transcribed a 4-minute video in 2 hours. They paid me $3. It felt like $300. I cried in the bathroom of that cafe, not because of the money, but because it was real. My English had created income. From that day, I knew this was the path. I didn't have to beg. I didn't need a perfect job. If I could learn more, I could earn more. I started seeing myself differently. I wasn't the poor boy who failed English anymore. I was a learner, a communicator, a builder, a dreamer, and I wanted more. I began learning English business terms. I watched CEO interviews. I studied how people pitched ideas, wrote emails, and expressed confidence using simple words. I didn't just want to speak English, I wanted to own it. I promised myself, from today, English is not just a language. It is my career. It is my freedom. It is my tool to escape poverty forever. I found websites where freelancers offered services, writing, translation, transcription, virtual assistants. I created a profile. It wasn't fancy, I just wrote what I could do. I can type fast, transcribe videos, do simple English writing. No one replied for 2 weeks. Every morning, I opened the internet cafe's old computer, checked my messages, and found nothing. Every time I saw 0, I felt something whisper inside me, maybe they were right. Maybe this isn't for people like you. But I ignored it. Every day, I applied to 10 new jobs. No copy-paste, every message was personal and respectful. One day, someone replied. A man from the US wanted help writing subtitles for his YouTube videos. He paid $10 per video. He said, "You're not perfect, but I like your attitude." That word hit me. Attitude. That first client became a regular. I started earning $40, then $60 a week. I still worked in the hardware store, but now I felt like I had a secret superpower. I would go to the cafe after work till 11 p.m., go home, sleep, wake at 4 a.m., and repeat. But soon, I hit a wall. One client ghosted me without paying. Another gave me a bad review because of grammar mistakes. I missed a deadline because the cafe had no internet. And the worst was when my mother said, "Henry, stop wasting money on this internet dream. You're just getting tired. We need you here." It broke me, not out of anger, but because she spoke from love. She wanted to protect me from disappointment. She didn't want me to hope too high and fall too hard. But I couldn't stop. I had seen the world. I had spoken to people in Canada, Germany, and America, all from a dusty old computer. Deep inside, I knew that even without money, I had a voice. And that voice was priceless. One day, a client from Singapore wanted someone to write product descriptions in simple English. He asked for a voice call. I almost said no, I had never done a full conversation in English. I was shaking, but I said yes. On the day of the call, I wore my best shirt, sat at the cafe, closed my eyes, and whispered, "This is it. You've been preparing for this." The client called. I answered, "Hello, Mr. Ravi. This is Henry speaking." I was nervous, but I didn't panic. I made mistakes, but I kept speaking. At the end he said, "Your English isn't perfect, but your spirit is. Let's work together." That was the moment I realized, English is not about perfect grammar. It's about clarity, effort, and energy. From that job, I earned $120 in 1 week, twice my monthly salary at the hardware store. After months of working online at night and at the store during the day, I made the biggest decision of my life. I quit. I told my boss, with broken but clear English, "Sir, thank you for everything, but now I have to build my own life." He shook my hand and said, "I'm proud of you. Go make something great." I cried, not because I was sad, but because I finally felt like I was choosing my own life. Even after quitting the hardware store, life was not easy. Some days I had no clients, days when I doubted everything. I looked at my family and thought, am I making a mistake? But every time I felt doubt, I opened my first notebook, the one where I had written, "Hi, my name is Henry. I want to learn English." That notebook reminded me where I started, and I kept going. 2 years after sending my first voice note, I earned over $1,000 in a single month. From writing product descriptions, transcribing videos, doing voiceovers, and helping non-English speakers write business emails, I was finally earning. All using the one skill that once made me cry in class, English. That month changed how my family saw me. My mother no longer told me to stop, she would bring tea when I worked late. My father, who still couldn't speak English, quietly said, "Son, I don't understand what you're doing, but I see your eyes, and they look alive." With those earnings, I saved up and bought a second-hand laptop, a cheap pocket Wi-Fi, a small table, and a chair. I made a workspace in the corner of our small home. I still lived in the same neighborhood, ate simple meals, and wore second-hand clothes. But now, I was working with people across the globe, paid in dollars, and using the same English I once failed at in school to build a real business. I remember the exact day I saw $5,000 in my PayPal account. It was evening. I had just finished a freelance project. I refreshed the screen once, twice, and there it was, $5,274.82. I stared at it for minutes. This wasn't a dream. It was real. Just 2 years ago, I couldn't speak one sentence of English without panicking. Now, I was getting paid more in a month than my entire year's salary at the hardware store. But it wasn't luck. It was strategy. It was patience. It was English. Once I had a few regular clients, I did something very important. I stopped charging low prices. At first, I offered to transcribe videos for $5 each. But after receiving real feedback and some success stories, I slowly increased my rates. $5 became $10, then $15, then $25 per video with editing, then $50 for writing an entire business pitch. Clients didn't leave, they stayed because I gave more than just words. I gave confidence in their message. Here's what most people don't understand. When your English improves, your value improves. You stop competing on price and start competing on quality. I learned to write powerful, clear English for businesses, handle client communication like a professional, offer new services like proposal writing, email marketing, and brand storytelling. All of that was possible because I had learned one thing most people never learn. English is not just a language, it's a currency. After my income crossed $2,000 per month, I realized I was working too much. 14-hour days, no breaks, no weekends. So I hired help. Carefully. A girl from Kenya helped with proofreading. A boy from Bangladesh helped with research. A translator from Egypt helped with Arabic documents. They were smart, hardworking, and eager to grow, and I paid them fairly in dollars. We became a small global team. Together, we worked on bigger projects, product launches, online course materials, video scripts for CEOs. And the best part, I trained them in the same English techniques I had used myself. Because I believed if I can rise, I should help others rise too. One day, a startup from Canada contacted me. They needed help writing the full content for their website, pitch deck, and email marketing campaign. The budget, $10,000. I was scared. I had never done such a big project. But I said yes. I created a plan, divided the work into 3 weeks, had 4 Zoom calls, revised everything 4 times, and finally delivered it. The client said, "This is world class. I've worked with agencies, and you just outperformed them." That was the moment I knew I wasn't just a freelancer anymore. I was running a business. When I earned my first $10,000 month, I booked a surprise dinner at a nice restaurant in our town. I brought my parents, my younger brother, and my little niece. We sat at a table with candles and cloth napkins. My father had never been in such a place. My mother kept adjusting her hair nervously. I ordered for everyone in English. When the food came, I stood up and said, "I know you didn't always understand what I was doing, but thank you for trusting me. I want to tell you something. We're okay now. You don't have to worry anymore." My mother started crying. My father just nodded, eyes red. That night, we laughed, talked, and celebrated. In that moment, I realized I wasn't chasing dollars. I was building dignity. With enough savings, I took the biggest step of my life. I started my own company, a small content agency. We offered premium writing, editing, and English support for global startups. I rented a tiny office, got business cards, and registered officially. We got clients from Singapore, Dubai, London, and California. And every time someone asked, "How did you learn English?" I smiled and said, "One sentence at a time." 3 years after sending my first message from an internet cafe, my company crossed $100,000 in annual revenue. I was earning more than doctors, engineers, and bankers in my town. And I had done it with nothing but a broken chair, a second-hand laptop, a fire in my heart, and a notebook that once said, "Hi, my name is Henry. I want to learn English." If you've been following my story, you already know everything I've been through. From growing up poor, getting rejected, failing my English class, to finally using this language to change my life. But now, I'm not going to talk about the pain, I'm going to talk about the path, because you deserve to know exactly how I learned English. People say it's impossible to go from zero to fluent without classes, tutors, or money. But I did it with nothing but a notebook, a second-hand phone, and one deep burning reason. I wanted to be free. So here it is, step by step, everything I did. No secrets, no shortcuts. Just the raw truth. If you follow these steps, I promise not only will your English improve, but your confidence, your career, and your entire life will start changing. The first rule I followed was simple. I stopped treating English as a subject and started living it. Most people treat English like something to memorize for exams. I decided it was my future, my escape. I changed my phone language to English. I wrote my shopping lists in English. I talked to myself in English while walking, cooking, even taking a shower. Small sentences. I am cooking rice. I have to wake up early tomorrow. This shirt is dirty. I repeated them 50 times a day. Slowly, my brain stopped translating from Tagalog. I began thinking in English naturally. Next, I trained my tongue, not just my brain. Most people know English in their head but can't speak it because they never practice speaking aloud. Every day, I read one paragraph from my notebook slowly, clearly, and repeatedly. I shadowed native speakers in videos, pausing every line to copy their tone. I recorded voice messages for myself daily. Sometimes simple phrases. Today, I went to the market. I bought tomatoes. I saw an old friend. It felt silly, but my tongue learned how to form English words. After 3 months, I could speak without freezing. Not perfectly, but naturally. Confidence comes from action, not perfection. I learned only 5 words a day, but I mastered them. I didn't chase big vocabulary books. Every morning, I picked 5 words like confident, nervous, explain, improve, believe. Then, I created my own sentences. I feel confident today. Please explain that again. I believe in myself. I repeated each sentence 10 times and tried to use 2 words in conversation or voice messages that day. Slowly, the words became mine. You don't need 5,000 words, you need 500 words used effectively. I practiced thinking in English one sentence at a time. No translation. At first, it was hard. I forced myself. It's hot today. I am getting late. I don't like this food. Even when I was sad, I said, I feel broken today, but I will not give up. My emotions became English. My thoughts became English. Gradually, my speech became natural. Free tools became my teachers. I couldn't afford expensive courses. Google Translate helped me translate daily words and listen to pronunciation. YouTube gave me real conversations, ordering food, introducing myself, beginner English lessons. I paused, repeated, copied tone, and wrote phrases in my notebook. ChatGPT helped me correct sentences, gave daily speaking practice, and offered professional ways to phrase my thoughts. I saved every useful phrase in my notes app. That sounds great. It's been a long time. I'm not sure about that. These phrases became my building blocks. Daily habit, not a big goal, was crucial. Some days, I studied an hour. Some days, only 10 minutes. I never skipped. Fluency is built daily. 5 words, 5 sentences, 1 voice message, 1 short video every morning. Little efforts compounded into massive confidence. I spoke to strangers, even when scared. I joined online English groups. Everyone was a beginner. No judgment, just practice. First time I said, "Hello, my name is Henry. I am learning English." My hands were shaking. They clapped. They smiled. They replied in English. I felt something powerful. I can do this. I really can. From there, I joined small meetings, voice chats, and Zoom calls. I wasn't perfect, but showing up mattered. I wrote every day. I started a journal in English. Every night, what did I do today? What did I learn today? What will I do tomorrow? Only 5 to 10 lines. No pressure. Sometimes, I felt sad today. I didn't talk much, but I want to try again tomorrow. Writing helped me see my thoughts, calm my mind, and be honest. Slowly, my grammar improved, not because of rules, but by using English daily. I practiced when life was hard. I learned English in broken internet cafes. I practiced after 12-hour shifts at the hardware store. I failed many times, but I never gave up. I was still earning little, still working long hours, but I had a secret superpower: English. One day, a client from Singapore needed product descriptions and requested a voice call. I had never done a full conversation in English before. I almost said no. I was shaking. But I said yes. I whispered to myself, "This is it. You've been preparing for this." I wore my best shirt, sat at the cafe, and answered, "Hello Mr. Ravi, this is Henry speaking." I made mistakes but continued. By the end, he said, "Your English isn't perfect, but your spirit is. Let's work together." That call changed my mindset. English wasn't about perfection, it was about clarity, effort, and energy. From that job, I earned $120 in a week, twice my monthly salary at the hardware store. I started seeing myself differently. I wasn't the poor boy who failed English anymore. I was a learner, communicator, builder, and dreamer. Soon, I took bigger steps. I learned English business terms, studied how CEOs speak, write emails, and pitch ideas. I realized I didn't want just to speak English, I wanted to own it. I promised myself, English would be my career, my freedom, my tool to escape poverty forever. I created a freelance profile. I applied for transcription, translation, and writing jobs daily. Many days yielded nothing. Every morning, I checked messages and saw 0 replies. Every 0 whispered, maybe they were right. Maybe this isn't for people like you. But I ignored it. I applied to 10 new jobs daily. No copy-paste. Personal, respectful messages. Until one day, someone replied. A man from the US wanted help writing YouTube subtitles. He paid $10 per video. He said, "You're not perfect, but I like your attitude." That word, attitude, was everything. That first client became a regular. $40, then $60 per week. I worked late at the cafe after the day job. Went home. Woke up 4 a.m. repeat. I was exhausted, but improving. Even after gaining some clients, the journey was not smooth. I faced rejection almost every day. One client ghosted me without paying. Another left a negative review because of minor grammar errors. Deadlines slipped when the cafe's internet went out. And worst of all, my own family sometimes doubted me. One night, my mother said softly, "Henry, stop wasting money on this internet dream. You're just getting tired. We need you here." Her words weren't meant to hurt, they came from love. She wanted to protect me from disappointment. But I couldn't stop. I had glimpsed a world beyond my small town. I had communicated with people in Canada, Germany, and the US, all from a dusty, old computer. I knew deep down that I might not have money yet, but I had a voice, and that was priceless. There was one call I'll never forget. A client from Singapore asked me to write product descriptions and requested a full conversation over voice. I almost declined. My heart raced. My hands shook. But I said yes. "This is it," I whispered. "You've prepared for this moment." I put on my best shirt, went to the cafe, and answered, "Hello, Mr. Ravi, this is Henry speaking." I stumbled over words. I made mistakes. But I kept going. By the end of the call, he said, "Your English isn't perfect, but your spirit is amazing. Let's work together." That moment proved something crucial. English isn't about flawless grammar. It's about clarity, effort, and energy. It's about showing up even when afraid. From that call, I earned $120 in a week, twice my monthly salary at the hardware store. I began seeing myself differently. I was no longer the boy who failed English. I was a learner, a communicator, a dreamer, a builder. I wanted more. I learned English business terms, studied CEO interviews, and observed how professionals pitch, write emails, and express confidence with simple words. I realized I didn't just want to speak English, I wanted to master it. I made a promise: English would be my career, my freedom, my ticket out of poverty. I started creating a freelance profile, offering transcription, translation, and writing services. For 2 weeks, no one replied. Every morning, I logged in, checked messages, and saw 0 replies. Every 0 whispered, "Maybe they were right. Maybe this isn't for someone like you." But I ignored the doubt. I applied to 10 new jobs daily, each message personal and respectful. Finally, a man from the US replied, needing help with YouTube subtitles. He said, "You're not perfect, but I like your attitude." That one word, attitude, was everything. I worked hard. The first client became a regular. My earnings grew, $40 a week, then $60. I worked long hours at the cafe, late at night, while still maintaining my day job. Exhaustion was constant, but I was improving every day. Then came the real test. I faced clients who gave harsh feedback. One project demanded revisions multiple times. Another client was difficult to understand. Deadlines were tight. I had to negotiate in English, explain delays, and clarify expectations. At first, I stumbled. But gradually, I gained confidence. I realized that mistakes weren't failures, they were learning opportunities. As my English and confidence grew, so did my earnings. I stopped offering the lowest rates. Initially, I charged $5 per transcription. After gaining experience, I increased my rates. $5 became $10, then $15, $25, and even $50 for larger projects. Clients didn't leave. They stayed because I delivered value. I gave more than words. I gave clarity, professionalism, and confidence. One day, I decided to build a small global team. A girl from Kenya helped with proofreading, a boy from Bangladesh assisted in research, and a translator from Egypt managed Arabic documents. They were smart, hard-working, and eager to grow. I paid them fairly in dollars. Together, we handled larger projects, product launches, online course materials, video scripts, and content for CEOs. I trained my team using the same techniques I had learned. I believed that if I could rise, I should help others rise too. Each member of my team improved, and our services became highly professional. We gained clients from Canada, Singapore, Dubai, London, and California. One day, a startup from Canada offered a $10,000 project. Full website content, pitch deck, and email marketing campaigns. I was scared. I had never handled such a big project. But I said yes. I divided the work over 3 weeks, conducted 4 Zoom calls, revised content multiple times, and delivered it successfully. The client said, "This is world-class. I've worked with agencies, and you outperformed them." That was when I realized I wasn't just a freelancer, I was building a business. I felt proud. I felt powerful. I was creating value, helping people globally, and doing it with the English I had once struggled with in school. I celebrated my first $10,000 month by taking my family out for dinner. My parents, my younger brother, and my little niece joined me. We sat at a table with candles and cloth napkins. My father, who had never been to such a place, looked around in awe. My mother, still nervous, adjusted her scarf. I ordered for everyone in English. When the food arrived, I stood and said, "I know you didn't always understand what I was doing, but thank you for trusting me. We're okay now. You don't have to worry anymore." My mother cried. My father just nodded, eyes red. That night, we laughed, we celebrated, and I realized something important. I wasn't chasing money. I was building dignity. With savings, I rented a small office, bought a second-hand laptop, a cheap Wi-Fi connection, a desk, and a chair. I officially registered my company, a small content agency offering premium writing, editing, and English support for startups worldwide. I gained clients from Singapore, Dubai, London, and California. Every time someone asked how I learned English, I said, 1 sentence at a time. 3 years after sending my first message from a dusty internet cafe, my company crossed $100,000 in annual revenue. I was earning more than doctors, engineers, and bankers in my town. I had done it with nothing but a broken chair, a second-hand laptop, a fire in my heart, and a notebook that once said, "Hi, my name is Henry. I want to learn English." Even after achieving financial success, I knew my journey wasn't over. The fire inside me, the quiet voice that had whispered, "You are meant for more," was still alive. I wanted to create not just wealth, but impact. I wanted to show others that no matter where they came from, no matter how broken their English or their confidence, they could build a life they never imagined. I started mentoring aspiring freelancers. I shared the exact steps I had taken, waking up at 4 a.m., practicing 5 words a day, shadowing English speakers, sending voice messages, writing emails, building confidence sentence by sentence. People started messaging me, asking for guidance. Some were from my own country, others from places I had never heard of. I realized my story had become bigger than me. It had the power to inspire. I also focused on improving my company. We expanded our services, offering not just writing, but full English support for startups. Marketing campaigns, brand storytelling, website content, and even consulting on communication strategies. I trained my team in a methodical way, combining language skills with practical business knowledge. The team grew stronger, and so did our impact. There were still tough days. Sometimes clients changed their requirements at the last minute. Sometimes deadlines were unrealistic. Sometimes I had to resolve conflicts between team members. But I had learned how to face challenges with patience and persistence. Every obstacle reminded me of my early days in that tiny room, sitting on a plastic chair with a broken notebook, studying while mosquitoes buzzed around me. I remembered the nights I cried, wondering if all my effort was worthless. And I smiled because I had survived that, and now nothing seemed impossible. I invested in myself and my skills continuously. I learned advanced communication techniques, persuasive writing, and professional email etiquette. I studied global markets, understanding the words and phrases that businesses valued. Every new skill made me a more powerful communicator, and every improvement opened new doors. As my company's revenue grew beyond $100,000 annually, I didn't change my values. I stayed humble, remembered my roots, and helped others rise alongside me. I sponsored students to learn English, I shared resources freely, and I guided freelancers struggling to earn their first $100 online. I wanted others to know that opportunity exists, but only for those willing to persist, to show up daily, and to embrace discomfort. One of the most memorable moments came when I spoke at an online conference for aspiring global freelancers. I shared my story, from failing English in grade school to building a six-figure content agency. My hands shook at first, my heart raced, but I remembered every struggle that led me there. I said, "You are not weak. You are not behind. You are not alone. One sentence can change your life. One brave moment can open a door. One language can become your power." The chat exploded with messages. People thanked me, cried, and shared their own fears. I realized my broken English, the one that had once made me feel invisible, had now become a bridge connecting people across continents. It was no longer just a skill, it was a legacy. I continued growing personally and professionally. I hired more team members from different countries, paying them fairly, training them with the methods that worked for me. We tackled bigger projects, international marketing campaigns, multilingual content creation, and strategic communication for startups. Each success added not just money, but credibility and confidence. Looking back, I understood the power of small consistent actions. Waking up early, practicing for 10 minutes daily, speaking with strangers, sending hundreds of personalized messages, learning one sentence at a time, it all added up. Those tiny steps, which once seemed insignificant, became the foundation of a global business and a life I had once only dreamed about. Most importantly, I discovered the value of mindset. Every rejection, every mistake, every criticism was not a reason to quit, it was a signal to improve. I learned to celebrate small wins, to acknowledge progress, and to stay committed even when no one noticed. That persistence became my greatest asset. Today, my life is unrecognizable compared to the boy who failed English in grade 4, who froze reading Wednesday aloud, and who cried on the rooftop under the stars, wondering if freedom was even possible. I travel, meet clients worldwide, lead a team, mentor freelancers, and inspire thousands online. I earn in dollars, live with dignity, and continue to learn every single day. And yet, the core of my story remains simple. One boy, one notebook, one sentence at a time. Nothing magical happened overnight. No rich uncle, no sudden luck. Just persistence, courage, and the will to change. If you are reading this, feeling stuck, invisible, or hopeless, know this: it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how broken your English, how poor your background, or how many times life has rejected you. One sentence can change your life. One step, no matter how small, can lead to extraordinary results. I began with just one line: "Hi, my name is Henry. I want to learn English." That line opened a door. That door led to my future. And now, I stand here, telling you, the same door is waiting for you. One brave choice, one persistent effort, one language, your life can change. So start today. Speak one sentence. Write one sentence. Send one message. Show up. Persist. And slowly, the fire inside you will grow. That quiet fire that whispers, "You are meant for more." Listen to it. Follow it. And one day, like me, you will look back and say, "I'm glad I didn't quit." Because the truth is simple. Your language is your power, your words are your currency, and your persistence is your bridge to freedom. The end.